Hello everyone, my name is Faizan, and in this video I am going to talk about a book that I recently read, and the name of the book is Night Chills by Dean Koontz, and the book is here. Night Chills was the second book of the Dean Koontz I read, and I consider Dean Koontz the same type of author that was Stephen King. They both write horror novels, kind of. And the first book I read of Dean Koontz was about some kind of book reviewer who was, there was an author and he was attacking the book critic, and I forgot the book name. So yeah, this is different thing, but we are going to talk about night chills. Night chills start with about a British scientist that is describing the conditioning to another person. So what is conditioning? So there are two type of conditioning in psychology: classical conditioning and operational conditioning. And if you know a little bit about the Pavlov's experiment, you will know the classical conditioning. So the classical conditioning is about assigning a kind of a trigger to invoke a reaction. So if you do it again and again and again, like for example, if you give a reward, if it is a very different kind of reward, let's say if I kick a dog and then I give the food to the dog will associate my kicking with the food. So the dog will be ready whenever I kick it. Like if I kick the dog will think that I am going to get food. So this is classical conditioning, which we see every day in our environment. Other one is operational conditioning, which is about the reward system, but we are not going to talk about it because the book is about classical conditioning. In it, our scientist has kind of claimed that he has perfected a system, a theory, or uh, whatever template where he can control humans with a coding or something. For example, there was a scenario in this movie from Marvel. There is Winter Soldier, kind of a Winter Soldier is an assassin created by an organization, and they control him. They what they do is they tortured him. They kind of break his mind, and whenever they whenever they say a series of words, it's something trigger in the Winter Soldier, and he start murdering people or doing random thing or whatever it is the code has been told him to do. So that code is actually is some kind of signal to the brain to do things. To do that, the scientist has created some kind of drugs. So if he put the drugs in a person or another pupil, and it will make those people to follow the instruction of scientist. And the interesting thing is we see these things a lot in advertisement. And I am from marketing and I am a content marketer at improving.com. So we do it also, but in a very subtle way. In a marketing, you will see a emoji or a sentence or an image associate with something that directly attack to your desires. So they know, they do research on human behavior, they understand it, they study it, then they publish the research, and we see that if we do this, if we put this in our content, in our advertisement copy, it will trigger this kind of emotional response which we need. So, for example, if we put free in the advertisement of copy, it kind of trigger a different type of audience to different type of things. And if we put giveaway, which kind of do a different thing. So free and giveaway is kind of a same thing when we do, but the words are differently attach meaning to them, and yeah, these things happens in advertisement. But here in the book, the writer, the scientist has kind of developed it to extra level, and he can control any people. So another person who was a rich man and he was a friend of this scientist invested the money on him to perfect this, to develop this on a scale, and then they put it to a test on a small town, which was on a border of America or something. And it is basically a very isolated town, and there was no, uh, and it was very far from the city. So they picked this town to do this testing, and this is the story of night chills. One night they release the chemical through water supplies and gas, and everyone got addicted to or drink it, or I mean they inhale it, or they are not immune to it, so it affect them. And then when the scientist and his soldiers or his pupil came, and they can just give a random phrase and they say a word, and those were triggered in their mind, and they start doing a thing they are instructed to. So in a way, they were planning to create an army or a pupil who can do whatever they want them to do. On a conceptual level, the book is good. Idea was good. Uh, Not because it is doable, but because it has that far sighted to the book, because it is not written in 2000 where these things are happening, but very subtly or very in hidden. It is not that visible, but the algorithm controls your life already. The social media influence were low, and without you knowing, you are doing the thing that they want to do. But in the natures, they kind of perceived it in different way. They planned like in the future, what they can do is they can just and it can be also be true. They might be injecting our food and our water with random chemicals, and which could uh, eventually making us weak or stupid or fool or whatever, which could also be true because they already control all our natural resources. So whatever. But yeah, it is the horror aspect of the book is how a human mind can be controlled very easily. We think it is very complicated. We think we have proper control on our body, and yeah, we do what we like to do. We have free will and all those things. And but when we see, actually, we do not have that kind of free will. We are influenced by people who live with us, who live around us, the media we consume, the food we eat, the water we drink, the light we see, and everything around us is actually influencing us. So if we control those factors, so one can control the people living in those factors. There is a thing in the Sherlock Holmes, which Sherlock's where this banker person said that the triggers can be used to control anyone. So he can control the prime minister of a country if we know the weak point, and then he can connect it to the weak point of the person he can access to. For example, the prime minister of the country has a weak point because of some kind of businessman, some kind of deal, and then businessmen have a weak point of his son or daughter, and that daughter or son has a weak point for the girlfriend, and that girlfriend has a weak point of his her father, and then father has a weak point of his or her friend. And if that friend is in problem, the father will have the daughter and his girlfriend, boyfriend, and the prime minister. Everyone will get in line. The chain will connect. So there is another thing that we will keep in a different video, that but it is explored in a Sherlock Holmes episode. I do not remember the name of the episode or the number, but it is in there on, I guess, in the third season. So the rich man has have the information, and he kind of know everyone's weak point, and through this weak point he control any person in the world. So this is the thing. So night chase is not a very nicely written book. The writing I did not like, but the concept I really like. That's why I'm making this video because it is kind of related to the work I do. And yeah, if you are into some kind of boring horror, but a horror that could keep you thinking if you want to think, because it is not something that will invoke your intellectuality. You have to actually go into it. You have to actually think about it. Like, okay, this is it. This is the horror in it. There is how a human can be controlled, so how we are easily controlled. If you have to think about it, actually, so that is could be your book. Otherwise, I will not say to read it. But yeah, Dean Koontz is another thing I am not going to read anymore. But this book, the horror aspect is actually good. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.